So I got a couple more questions for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
As is the case with many songwriters, I feel like loss always plays a role in your craft, whether it's tragic loss or natural loss, whatever it may be. I feel like it's played a role in your creative process as well over the years. I would love to hear you tell the audience how loss has affected you, not just creatively, but just from a life standpoint.
Yeah. I think you hear about loss on my records because it's real to
Mm-hmm.
me. I've lost all three of my brothers. Um, Joey, I'm the youngest in the family. I still have a sister. But Joey had Down syndrome. He was the next oldest. And he lived with me and my family most of my adult life. I was his primary caregiver from the time I was 18, except for about an 8 or 9 year stretch there, and then he finished out the last, I don't know, 15 years of his life with us, and he passed away in 2016, and so he was also kind of like a son,
Mm-hmm.
because I take care of him his whole life, and so I'd never been through anything like that, and then my oldest two siblings, my two remaining brothers, Daniel and Kirk, they passed away exactly 2 weeks apart in 2021, on March 21st and April 4th. And my mom passed away in 2003. Um, and for the most part, she pretty much drank herself to death. Um, so I just had a lot of it. And so I think that if you do the songwriting thing right and do it um, from the place it's meant to be done from, you have to write about those things. You know, um, so many of those songs too have been so much therapy for me and help. Like the broken part on my first record. I mean, I was sitting out on this porch. Joey had passed away. We moved here just months after Joey passed here to this house in Poetry, and I'm sitting on that porch and like I said, I'd never been through anything like that. And I was just sitting there going, "Well, this is a broken heart." And then I thought, "Well, what? Hold on, what exactly is broken? Because I mean, it's still pumping blood,
Mm-hmm.
and it still writes songs, and it still knows that Jesus loves me. So what's broken?" And that's literally what started that song. The first verse says, "The part that pumps the blood through my veins, the part that makes my voice crack when I sing, the part that takes my hat off, thankful that I'm free, and the part that knows that Jesus died for me." That was just sitting there on that porch.
Mm-hmm.
Is all that was. And then we wrote the song to make it sound like it was a romantic relationship or something that you know ended, or she passed or whatever. But um, the first verse is just completely about me sitting on that porch going, "This is a broken heart."
You talk about the
Um,
therapeutic nature of music, and man, it's so true. Not just from a consumer perspective, but from the creator side as well. And I also know from talking to God hundreds of songwriters that I've been so blessed to be able to pick people's brains. But I know a lot of those songs that are most vulnerable to a songwriter never see the light of day. I'm sure you have those songs as well, but for you, the songs have seen the light of day, right? The
It's
songs,
one benefit to making your own records.
right? But that's my point. Like, you've decided to put these vulnerable songs out to the world, which
Yeah.
means people are listening to them, which means they're going to ask for them, which means you're going to have to perform them, which means you're going to have to be vulnerable in public all the time. So, are you deciding that with all of that, all of that knowledge ahead of time, or is it more of like just a spontaneous, you know what, I love this song, I'm going to put it out, and whatever happens, happens?
It's kind of all of that. I I'm just people, it shows all the time, because when I tell the stories, behind these songs, some of the stories are pretty heavy, and but I kind of lay it all out there. I do it for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I want people to know that they're not alone. Um, and if I don't tell you my story completely transparently and honestly with all the ugly details, if I left all that out, you might leave that show and think you're still the only person that's been through whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want anybody to feel that way. I want everybody to go, oh, he's been through what I've been through, and he survived, because I'm sitting there in front of him telling him the story, and also just believe in being real. Like, I had a guy come up to me, another artist, a couple of years ago at a little show in Baton Rouge, and he came up to me afterwards. He goes, "Man, you're just so raw and so just open.
Yep.
Like, is that something you had to work on?" And I'd never had anybody ask me that question, so I'd never thought about it. And I just kind of giggled and I went, "No, it's not something I had to work on." And he said, "Is it something you have to like consciously make a decision?" I was like, "No, it's just who I am. It's just what I do. When I play these songs, I'm gonna tell you the life behind it, you
Yep.
know." And I think it's the only authentic way to do it. It's the only authentic way to present it. So
I love the show for so many reasons. And I think the biggest reason is because everybody's story is a circle, in my
mhm.
opinion. And we just proved
Yeah.
that with you. The beginning of your story was the beginning of your fighter mentality. And your fighter mentality, the answer to that man's question, is that just something you do? And the answer
Mhm.
is no, it's just your fighter mentality, right? It's just
Mhm.
that's who you became because of life
Yeah.
experience. And that fighter mentality has allowed you to share your soul with other people. Um, and pain be damned, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing stuff,
Yeah.
man.